What is up, guys? So, Arrow Season 5 ended with an amazing cliffhanger earlier this year with Lian Yu blowing up, and everyone expected them to both kill Samantha and at least kill one main character, or at least people were hoping they would kill one main character. And it was revealed in the Season 6 premiere that they killed off Samantha and Evelyn, and also Malcolm Merlin and Captain Boomerang and Prometheus died before the explosion, but only Samantha and Evelyn died in the explosion, and Thea was in a coma. With all of that, that was super disappointing. I expected them, or I was hoping that they would kill at least one main character, because Season 5, season finale, was amazing, but it's made a little bit worse with this revelation that nobody important died. So, with that in mind, I decided to go over the top 5 characters who I thought should have died in the Lian Yu Explosion, starting with number 5. Number 5 is Nyssa Ghul. So for this list, there were just around 10 characters to choose from. The characters that aren't on this list are Black Canary, Black Siren, Wild Dog, and Mr. Terrific, and also Deathstroke, and also maybe Talia al Ghul. Whether or not she survived or not, we don't know. And that's basically the only reason Nyssa is on this list. It's because I'd rather she died above all the other characters I just listed, including Talia al Ghul. The reason I think Nyssa should have died over those 5 or 6 characters is because all of those characters had something to do in the future, like either be a superhero or a supervillain, or even maybe giving birth to Damian Wayne in the case of Talia al Ghul, or just continue being Deathstroke and maybe even having a spin-off show. Well, not now because of the news that they can't use him anymore, but back then it was a possibility. So all these characters had the potential to do something in the future, something interesting. Nyssa Al Ghul, on the other hand, there's really nothing for her to do, so I thought it was fitting for Nyssa to die because there really isn't much to do with Nyssa anymore, and that's the main reason Nyssa is on the list ahead of all those other characters. But really, she's not somebody I wanted to die, especially since there's not a lot of people to choose from. Really, the only characters I actually think should have 100% died are 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 I think probably should have died, and 5 is basically just on the list because I had to make it a top 5 list.
You thought you could replace me? That's cute. You didn't have to do that.
Oh, I did. For so many reasons.
Number 4 is Quentin Lance. Quentin Lance was originally on Arrow for 2 reasons. One, to be the main cop person, to have that vigilante cop dynamic that they seem to have on every CW superhero show, and 2, because he's the father of the main love interest. And with Laurel not really being the main love interest since Season 1, and barely in Season 1 as well, and then also just she straight up died, and then also Quentin not actually being a cop anymore, there really isn't any point to the character anymore. So I think the Lian Yu Explosion was the perfect time for Lance to die. The only reason he's so low on the list is because I actually really like him. I think he's a great character and even better actor, and even though I really like him, I gotta admit there wasn't really a point to his character after Laurel died, other than making the Black Siren redemption arc in Season 6, but Oliver could have easily done that like he started to in Season 5, but then totally forgot about it in Season 6. So even though I really like Quentin as a character, and I love Paul Blackthorne, I think he's an amazing actor, I still think it would have been pretty fitting if he died in the Lian Yu Island Explosion.
See?
Number 3 is Thea Queen, or Thea Merlin. Thea was one of the only 2 main characters actually affected by the explosion, putting her in a coma, which was definitely something they did because Willa Holland doesn't want to be in every single episode, or her contract doesn't say that she needs to be in every episode anymore. That's been the case since Season 5. Season 5, she was barely in it in season 6. She's been in like 2 episodes, and most of them, and the ones before that, she was in a coma, so she was in like 1 scene. And Thea wasn't in most of season 6 and barely in season 5, and I still, for both those seasons, I really didn't notice that she wasn't there. She's really just there just to be there. And I know that Mark Guggenheim said that he will never kill Thea just because she's the last family that Oliver has left, but that's not true. He has William. So considering she was actually in the middle of an island which exploded, she probably should have died. And when I say probably, I mean definitely. There is no possible way she survived that explosion. In fact, the chances of anybody surviving any of the people on the island is pretty slim. But Thea is the character. Thea and Samantha are the characters that definitely should have died. Samantha died. Thea should have. She was right there in the middle of multiple explosions. And when I say multiple, I mean a lot of explosions. It really doesn't make any sense. And they don't even explain it. So I definitely think Thea should have died. If anything, for the fact that no main characters died, and also because there's no way she survived that explosion.
Careful, let's go.
You should be on the plane.
I'm not taking refuge from 100 pounds without you.
It's more like 250.
Go, 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 go.
Number 2 is John Diggle. Speaking of being in the middle of an explosion, Diggle was actually in the middle of multiple explosions, but unlike Thea, they actually showed you the explosions. You can see here in this clip right here, he's just bombed with explosions left and right, front and center, and back. He's just exploded, and somehow he leaves without a scratch, except for the nerve damage, which is a little bit more than a scratch. But I mean, he didn't get burned from the fire at all. He didn't get a limb blown off, which I think was a missed opportunity to make Diggle a little more interesting than he is right now with a robot arm or something. But even that wouldn't have been as good as Diggle dying in the explosion. He should have died in that explosion. After season 5 ended, we were promised a soft reboot with season 6, and that did not happen. Just didn't happen. Because season 6 is just like season 4, but with some good qualities. It's a little bit better than season 3 right now, but like nothing changed between seasons 1 through 5 and 6. That felt like a soft reboot. It didn't feel like a soft reboot at all. And I think the way they should have done this soft reboot is by killing off original Team Arrow, obviously aside from Oliver. And also season 6 kind of ruined Diggle for me. I loved him in season 1. I liked him a little. Not a little. I liked him in season 2, 3, 4, and 5. But in season 6, he was not a good character. I didn't like him at all because he was the Green Arrow for way too long, and that was so boring. And then also there was this whole story arc for him where he selfishly didn't tell anybody he had nerve damage, which endangered the team, which just made me not like Diggle as much. So I really wish Diggle would have died, but not as much as number 1. And number 1 is Felicity Smoak. You probably saw this one coming, and that's because I despise Felicity, and I've let you guys know this more than a few times. And yeah, Felicity should have died in the Lian Yu Explosion. Lian Yu would have been the perfect time to kill her off. Well, actually, the perfect time would have been the mid-season finale of season 4, because, I mean, she got shot, and that would have been pretty awesome if she died there. But this episode comes pretty close to being one of the perfect times where she should have been killed off because of the same thing I said about Diggle. I think they should have killed off original Team Arrow other than Oliver meeting Diggle and Felicity in order to make season 6 feel like a more comic book accurate soft reboot. But the main reason I think Felicity should have died is because, well, I just want her to die already. Every time there's a potential for someone to die, I will always want that character to be Felicity. Like the grave thing in season 4, I wanted that to be Felicity. When she got shot, I just wanted her to die. The island's explosion, please, can she die already? And also, when they were teasing somebody will die in the crossover, I wanted it to be Felicity. So, those are the top 5 characters who should have died in the Lian Yu Explosion. But who do you think should have died? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.